Well, it's got to that time. We've decided to, while we're re-rigging, get a professional to look at our mainsail, because of all the things that I don't know, sail construction is one of the big ones. So we've come to Storm Bay SAILS. No, they haven't paid us. This is not a sponsored product. So we're just getting them to have a look over it, and we're just tossing up whether to put a new mainsail on the old girl.
Yeah. So we've kind of got two options. We've got rebuild or reconstruct our current sail, or go with a whole new sail, because they've just said to us that she's got a lot of signs of wear and strain. Yeah, we can. In the luff.
We can just see here, like if you look at some of these attachment, like some of the points on the sail, there's a bit of stretch, there's a bit of extra sail. We've made some sail, so that's pretty good. If you look back at when we got caught in 50 knots on the New South Wales coast, I was saying I wanted a third reef.
Yeah. I'm a bit scared.
So we spoke to Russell about putting a third reef in instead of a trysail. And the reason I prefer a third reef over a trysail is you reef all the time, so you've got really great practice at doing that skill. Whereas not many people actually, even if they own a trysail, get out there and practice with it and deploy it. I know some people do, but a lot of people don't. And usually when you're trying to put a trysail up, things are trying.
Hectic.
So we talked about that, but what Russell pointed out was that sail was quite lightly built. And when I made it, when I got it made, it was up in Darwin.
Right, in the tropics.
In the tropics, and things aren't that hectic. So we'd really like a sail that can handle these southern conditions. But then if we go further afield, so we've just come, like a lot of things that we're doing at the moment with the rigging and now with the sails. It really pays to acknowledge where your limits of your knowledge are, and just ask an expert. All right. So. Everyone, it's good to do a lot of stuff yourself, but you really need to know when it's time to sort of hand the baton over. And that's what we're doing.
I'll be putting big reinforcings in under here. The heavy cloth, like 8 ounce, 9 ounce. Where it's really getting smashed, especially when it's half up and down with a putting a reeving. It's not going to tear an eye out.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I think it's very close to wanting to do that. I think you've looked after it really well, and you've avoided something nastier.
This guy doesn't know anything. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah, no, we have been trying to nurse it as much as we can.
Yeah, the slide might not be the best option. We might be able to find something that takes the load a bit better. There you go. You got that'll push on the mast. If the mast, we've got to look at your mast. If you've got a flat area for that to push on, that takes the load off.
Oh, that's a good bearing surface. Yeah.
It's a bearing surface, you see. So. That's why we want to look at all your gear. Look at your boom, look at your gooseneck, look at your mast profile, and then of course we'll need your mast bend as well.
In the end, we opted to get a whole new suit of sails for Marul. Both the mainsail and headsail were too badly stretched. Before fabrication, Russell gave us a rundown on the CAD design for our new sails.
And there she is looking up from where you're sitting in the cockpit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Give it a shot.
Okay. And then if you're a bird flying past.
So this is something I've never really seen before. So we're having the sails computer plotted out, and they're being cut here at the lock. So what's the score there, Russell? You just about make everything here apart from make the sail plot. This is all going to be an Australian-made sail. It's not sent away.
Absolutely.
Brought back.
No, we do all our own design on 3D CAD. We flattens it out into developable shapes. Plots it out onto the sailcloth on the floor here in Australia, right here in Tasmania. And we glue all the seams together and stitch them, and every piece of hardware, everything's done here.
The last lot of sails that we had, I guess it was, they sent away the design to Thailand. I think it was made and then just shipped back. As far as I can understand, then the sailmaker just added bits and pieces. So
yeah, most lots work on that kind of model. most of the large franchises now, so they outsource design, they outsource plotting, fabrication. Sometimes it comes in semi-finished.
Yep.
It's what they call a skin, and then they add their own hardware. Sometimes they come in fully finished. So it's pretty rare now to have a small lot that does everything like this. So what it does is it puts a little mark here. So we've moved it up, we've rolled it up, and we're going to continue on. So we tell it we want to continue on.
Yep.
Frame through, 1, 2, 3 times 3 frames, which is the full length of the floor.
That what you were just lining up, are these all the reference points, or is that just how many feet of sail it is?
This is just how many metres of sail. Oh, how many metres of sail cloth, yeah.
Yep.
So that's 1.4 metres wide.
Yep.
So that's actually a representation of the floor.
Yep.
And we need 22 metres of floor to do it. So of course there's not enough floor, so it draws a reference point because it knows we've come to the end. We move it up, it keeps going. So the design's broken down into these pieces of flat panels out from the three-dimensional shape down to flat panel. And all these ones here are all your reef points, all your layered up reinforcers.
The cloth manufactured for our cruising sails has more longevity built into it, as it does not rely on resin impregnation to give it dimensional stability, instead relying on heat and stretching to keep its shape.
Yeah, it's going. Yes, telling you where it goes.
One tack 3, is it?
Yeah. There are machines that do cutting as well, but you need a separate room for that.
Yep.
They sit up on a table with a big vacuum underneath the table, sucks the fabric down.
Okay.
It draws and cuts.
Right.
Because you still need all of your seam allowances and overlap.
With the sails almost complete, it was time for a final inspection and rundown on the new features.
Get that on. Dylan's making a bolt rope to go on here. There's not much room in your boat. You've got plenty of liverboard stuff, so we thought we'd put all the extra stuff on the sail. So that's your batten pusher. So when you put your battens in, you've seen these before? No? It's got a Velcro on the inside of the pocket, Velcro here.
Yeah.
You've got to keep the two separated and get the batten in. So what you do is you put that tool in here, you put your batten in, and you slide that in. You leave your tail out for retrieval later if you want to get the batten out, and you push it in, and it tensions the batten and locks it in. So the Velcro becomes a compression.
Rather than on the outside where it's
Well, it makes it nice and smooth.
Yeah.
So you can't actually, it's more aerodynamic and smooth and reliable, and you know. So that's the indestructible way of doing it. Chafe protectors on all your pockets again. I know you've got the Dyneema rigging, but that's the safest sail.
Yep.
Got doublers all the way up here, between all the reef points, all the way through to the head. So you can use your third reef right up there as a storm main.
Yep.
Pull your leash line on, put it in here. So if it's chattering, you can pull it on.
Yep.
And then what happens is, if you forget to let it off and you shake the reefs out, this will come tight, pull itself out. So you don't need to worry about it. Set and forget. Cool. Okay. Put some extra telltales in for you if they wear out. Some extra slides if you have a break any. Go through any really heavy stuff and they crack or anything, you can always replace it. Okay.
Just feels a little bit more like Christmas.
Yeah, it does.
All right, little Cunningham eye if you ever want to pull more tension down there. If you can't get it on your halyard, you've got nice heavy corners in it. Everything's webbed.
We also took a look at our new custom staysail.
Never gonna break that.
I've got one similar kind of style on my boat. 13-ton boat. Frightening conditions. Never broken it.
Yep.
All right. The boat will fall over before this breaks.
Well, those things really pinch down neat and tidy.
Some clear vinyl in there that just protects the edge of it. It's flogging for days. Heavy conditions. It's not going to wear through the rope.
Yep.
It's got a heavy bolt rope on it. Take the load so you can really wind it up tight. All the edges, all the seams are double protected by extra layer under there. All the way around, all three sides.
So we're using those metal hanks because we were speaking with Russell at first when Dyneema was first out. People were like, oh my goodness, metal's going to wear through it, but it's not the case. These nice polished hanks seem to work pretty well.
Yeah, nice smooth bronze hanks that won't wear through the Dyneema.
Tested by time.
Hand out.
Amen.
Just have a few more wrinkles and bulgy bits in it, that's alright.
Yeah.
All the edges are protected. When you put a reef in, you know how when you put a reef in and it pinches down hard on the boom?
Yep.
These bits all get tatty after a while, so
pretty effortless. Like we're not even really, and you know what? We're carrying a fair bit of sail at the moment, and see how we're not heeled right over?
Yeah.
So that weight that we lost, it has made us a bit stiffer, but we can carry sail in stronger wind now.
We went out today to try out our new sails and new rig.
So February's here. We want to start crossing the Bight at the start of the second week of February, weather permitting. So what we did today is we shot out into the D'Entrecasteaux channel, and we tuned up our Dyneema rig. Basically what we did is we just had a fun sail. We got Pasky to tack us through the wind, all different angles of attack. And as things came loose on the leeward side, I just pinched them up by hand and lashed off our rigging. So now everything's like in a nice straight column. Everything feels really, really great. What speed did we get today, Pasky?
I think we got up to like 6.5 knots or something like that. Pretty good.
And again, we haven't really had a chance to film that process today because we don't have any auto steering at the moment. I still have to.
We still need to tweak it a bit.
Tune that thing up. The rig looks really good. If you're wondering about it, we were carrying full sail as it got up to about 18 to 20 knots, as we were taking some bullets, and that's when we saw even not even really reaching. We weren't even on our most favourable point of sail, and we were getting like 6.2 knots, and the rail did not you know, we still have
No.
this much rail to get underwater.
Which normally would have happened at that point of sail.
Yeah.
20 knots with all sail up. So
And what you will see later on, we'll cover it a bit more, is the sailmaker, he put a couple of reefing dots for us on the head sail as well. And so as we were coming into the bullets, we could leave all our mainsail up and we just reduced that head sail a bit.
yeah,
And we were just screaming along, and it just felt really great.
it did.
So with the test sail, we got, you know, like we were just checking out a few things. It looks like we haven't screwed the boat up. But there'll still be a few other things to do, but I think we can. What do you think? Do you feel confident that we can do it this week coming up?
I think so. I think we can get everything else done this week. We've pretty much crossed everything off our list.
If you remember back to when we were talking about our mast, I said that we ran 2 head sail halyards and we had them separated by little diverters. Well, this is what's happening now. So we've got the 2 halyards attached to the top of our furler. Only one of them will ever have pressure on, the other one will just have, you know, light pressure, but just to stow it up there. But what we can do is alternate which one is taking pressure. But also, if either of these lines, you know, if the one under tension breaks and disappears down the mast, then the other one is already soft shackled. Even though it's not taking load, it'll be soft shackled on there, and we'll be able to keep sailing on. We'll be able to pull tension on that one. Until we can figure out what's going on. So we've a bit of redundancy. We were talking to Pete, and he sort of said, well, we've got an extra sheave, we may as well throw another one in. We said yes. In the future, if we ever wanted to use like a type of head sail that's just, instead of going on a stay, it's got its own sort of like tension rope up it, we can use that. But for the time being, we're just going to attach it like that. And the easiest way to stow this spare rope is to have it already shackled on and safely inside the mast and then bundled up at the bottom. So it's already deployed, rather than having it down here and tying it up. So that's the story. Each one's got its own soft shackle, and just every few months we can just switch which one has the tension on it, you know, and that should sort of spread the wear over different sheaves and things like that. There we go, redundant head sail halyards. We're all's got them. All right, so Pascal's going to need a bit of coordination to haul this up, because she's going to have to haul up on the main one, but then just keep a bit of tension while I feed the sail in. So now if you look up, like you can see those ropes are separated by a good inch. You know, they each go through their separate diverter and they go off to their respective soft shackle. They can't twist now because the way the furler is made, they're on one swivel and the sail is on another. So they just stay in a fixed point and the sail swivels underneath them. So there's no chance of a tangle up top. So I'm really happy about that. Because I think when we left Perth and we got into Shark Bay, remember our spinnaker halyard? The sheave broke, it fell down on a bit of mast, wore through and failed, and the spinnaker fell in the water. But then we had to rerun a line, but what'll happen is you've got all these other lines in there, and yes, we reran it okay, but the magnet as it came down with the messenger probably sort of spun round another line, and it made life really hard from then on in. So now we just need to marshal all the line that's down the bottom here. So we'll just make a sea gasket out of it and just tie it to itself above the jammer. Because this is an auxiliary line, we have it quite low on the mast, and a lot of the things are quite low because we do a lot of our sail adjustments on our bums. It's part of it, you know, makes things a bit safer. So we do have to sort of get up a little bit just to activate a jammer, but the rest of everything else can be sort of done on the coach top there, and that's how we sort of like it, because it makes it easy to duck the boom. Your centre of gravity's low. If you are clipped in, you know, you can have a really short little lead, so you can't even make it to these lifelines. So we were just mucking around with our halyards, and the way they're arranged for us to keep things simple and to keep the amount of deck penetrations down, so no leaks, is using frictionless rings. Now these weren't around when this boat was built, so you know, like a little bit of inventiveness now hasn't always been available. So we've got a frictionless ring just lashed to this rail here, and it's really close to this solid bit of fiberglass. Like this is a strong thing. So the few 100 kilos that we'd put on this is easily able to be handled by that lump of stuff there. They're really, really strong. And we've got another frictionless ring here. So that's good for a few tons. It won't need a few tons there. And that's just a redirect. So it comes out of our jammer, through that frictionless ring. So through there, and to a winch on the cabin top. Now the other thing that we've got going on is the inner forestay that we put on. At the moment it's stowed, but we can have a quick look at it. This is our inner forestay, so it's stowed against this forward lower here. Our staysail halyard is here. So at the moment I've just used the purchase lashing for that stay, just to tie it against this shroud, and it keeps it out of the way. The way things are at the moment, these lashings that go through these frictionless rings to give us a mechanical purchase, we can use that to actually tension the stay itself. So to put this in duty, we'll just pull that down for a second, give ourselves some slack. I just need to remove this soft shackle down below from here and just move it to the foredeck. This soft shackle, so that's 6 mil, so it's doubled like that. So we can actually put that through like this and quadruple it.
Whoa. Just put it through twice.
Yeah. So at that point you're not really worried about all of this. I mean, that's plenty strong. The weakest point of a soft shackle is it's not. But because all of these lines are sharing tension, it's also reducing the amount of pressure you're going to put on the weakest part, which is, you know, the diamond knot of these soft shackles. So putting it through twice like that's a pretty good thing. So with the shrouds and with our lower stays, I spliced these loops into the Dyneema lashing, and that enables me to get this bit of PVC pipe, and I can just using my legs I can get enough tension on these because it's a 30-footer. But you know what, like if I wanted even more with one of these loops, it's entirely possible, whoops, I'll put that through here, it's entirely possible to use all of these halyards to do the same thing.
So you've just like looped them in between each other and locked it in?
Yeah, like that. So now if I wanted to, and I don't really need to, but I could on any of these things, all right, by using this same method, I could take that now, go back to here, there's my jammer, I'll just keep the tension on that. So that jammer's on, and now by going back to a winch, I can apply good inline tension straight along that stay. Already just by doing this I can see that I'm pulling the mast out of column. So I better not put too much pressure, because this has to be counteracted by our running backstays. So if I wanted to, at the moment, whoa, that stay is as tight as I need it to be before I hank on our little staysail. If you just hang on to it, you can get that out, right? And like we saw before, like once you've got this many wraps on there with this amount of purchase, like it's really, really easy to hold what you've got. Again, this is a 30-footer, it's not like a 40-footer or something like that. So just a quick 2 rounds, and then clinch it up like that, and then pull it tight, and you've got it. And then I like to throw it back through the ring like that. Mm-hmm. Couple of wraps under there, twice round for that, and then it's half hitch time. So now that we've got this tensioned up, all we need to do is attach the foot of our staysail, attach that to the head and pull it up. We haven't got the sheeting points in, so we can't show that just at the moment. You know, there's no heavy hardware up the front here. We're able to do it all with lashing, you know, no turnbuckles and stuff like that. I think if you were getting around in like a 40, 50 foot boat, then you really do have to start getting into some of that heavier equipment. But certainly one of the benefits of a small boat like we've got, and one that we really, really like, is that we can master a lot of the forces involved in the boat by hand. So we'll just put this away. I like to leave a little bit of slack on this one. We don't really want this super, super tight. That's soft shackled down at its base. Let's do a variation of a sheet bend. Just a flag hitch, a flag bend on there, pull it down. And what I want is just a bit of tail there. Pull on that halyard, and that's about as much tension as I want on that. Put the jammer on, and then with that tail, I can just lash the whole show to this shroud. And I'll just cross it like that, because that'll just keep it just separate. The main thing is that these things can't really like bang around and make a big fuss.
Yeah.
So everything's just kept neat. Our inner stay is stowed this way. That's how we just keep it out the way. It pretty much follows that shroud. And it'll probably spend a lot of its life there actually. So we can just swap it time to time as well. Like it doesn't have to be on this one, it can be on the other shroud if we like. This braided outer is chafe protection for this Dyneema. This stuff has been PU coated, so it is UV stable. It'll last a long, long time.
With a nice strong breeze, we headed back to the marina to complete our final jobs before our long passage home across the Great Australian Bight. Join us next week as we complete those final things and get more than we bargained for when we try and exit the channel.
I swear every time you point a camera at me, I get water in my face.
Sorry now, I won't do it again.
As always, thanks very much for liking our video and subscribing to our channel. We look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now.